Welcome back to Hearts of Stone. We are going to meet up with Olgierd and hopefully explain what the hell's just happened. Let's see what he has to say.
Chat.
I'm all ears, Witcher.
Got something for you.
I love gifts, but I prefer to unwrap them in private. Oi lads, mind the barrels. Going out for a jabber with Geralt. Come. Oh, that's better. Alright, what do you have for me?
Max Bersodi's house, as requested.
The papers, where are they?
Left them in the vault. You wanted the house, you got the house. Never mentioned its contents.
You're a quick study. Already as tricky as Odin himself. Keen to ridicule a man. Do you know what I and the company do with your type?
Dunno. Ask for legal advice? Looks to me like you might need some. You signed the contract, Olgierd. I'm just fulfilling its terms, to the letter. Unhappy? Hell, should have chosen your words more carefully.
Yes, I should have. I assume you came to an agreement with Horst. Shame. A right horse in that one.
His brother Ewald was worse.
Was?
Horst killed him, with his own hands.
Huh. It's progress.
Why did you even need those papers?
To sink the Borsodis, naturally. You see, I learned of an interesting clause in old man Maximilian's will. It states that his sons must meet and shake hands in agreement at least once a year at Bellatane. Failing that, the auction house must be auctioned off. The proceeds to go to Bill Marius Hospital.
Guess the old man sensed what might happen.
Aim to deliver those papers to the right hands. Borsodi would have landed in the streets, and the hospital would have gotten the funds it needs to treat orphans and beggars pro bono.
Awfully noble of you, showing so much concern for the needy.
I couldn't give a rat's ass about the needy. May they wither and disappear along with the city. I wanted one thing. Revenge.
The Borsodis. What's your gripe? Get kicked out of an auction?
Worse. They evicted me from my home. Are you really interested?
Wouldn't have asked if I wasn't.
Ha! Cheeky as ever. My family, they took on some debt. A poor investment in a sawmill. A bad crop one year. A lawsuit lost. You know how it is. When it rains, it pours. We needed but a few weeks to recover. But Horst Borsodi had acquired our debt. All of it. Demanded it be repaid immediately. I pleaded. I begged. I tore open my shirt at his threshold. Ugh. It was like talking to a wall. I went to the auction. Saw those perfumed pricks buy my father's sword. My mother's death mask. My brother's horse tack. Ah, Horst earned a pretty pile selling our mementos.
No surprise the animosity you feel for him.
That was but the start. My Iris's parents learned of my family's misfortune, and our betrothal was no more. They found her another suitor, one from beyond the sea. The anger I felt, I thought I'd gone mad. Went to the tavern, drank a round, a second, abroad, then had another tankard. And then, I asked the wrong bloke for help.
What happened then?
What happened then, Witcher, was one big stinking pile of shite. Well, why do you stand there? Do you need something still?
Third wish. Time you stated it.
A moment, Geralt. I must see to something. Then we'll chat. You there! Yank the herring out the barrel.
Come on, none of this dallying.
Now, ready to listen? Or do you still not give two shites about what I've got to say?
I'm ready. I'm listening.
Good. You'll return to your lord and tell him as follows. His demand was brazen. Hurt me to the core. For I was brought up to respect the sacred law of hospitality. And I shall not bend to an uncouth boor's dictum. Understood? I will pay him a visit shortly to test his willingness to adapt. So you ride off and announce me. And don't spare your horse. Got it?
Aye, got it.
Give this man a mount and leave him go. Come, Witcher. We must talk outside. The Aetheri believe one should only discuss important matters out of doors, with the gods as witnesses.
Beryl, what was that about?
On the way here, we stopped for nourishment at a tavern belonging to one Lord Dauntless. We enjoyed ourselves as one does at an inn, raucously. Our antics were not to the liking of this Dauntless. Sent a man to warn us that if we were ever to return, we would hang.
You burned the inn down?
I left ample compensation with the innkeep. But it seems the rapscallion neglected to mention this to his lord. But that's of little import. What matters is someone called me a whoreson and threatened to kill me. It was one of those threats that sound like an invitation. I intend to accept it. Return to those parts.
Must have made quite a few enemies along the way. Maybe not today and not tomorrow, but someday, someone will find a way to take you down.
And that should trouble me why? I feel no fear, no regret. The wise men of Oxenfurt claim there are no gods. After death, there is only the void. I've known this void already. Death holds no surprises.
Fulfilled 2 of your wishes. Time I learned the 3rd.
Confident, aren't you? Proud, sure of your strengths. Fearless.
3rd task, if you don't mind.
Mutations. They stripped you of emotion. Tell me, have you ever loved? I mean, truly loved?
You don't give a shit, Olgierd.
You'd make piss-poor company for a talk about love anyway.
3rd wish, still waiting to hear it.
Aye, aren't you stubborn? Fine. Listen well. I had a wife once. The day I saw her last, I gave her a rose. A violet one. Bring me that blue. Wouldn't mind reminding myself what it looks like.
When was that? How long's it been? Flowers wilted and turned to dust by now.
You wished to hear a wish. Now you have. Fulfill it. I ride now to visit this Dauntless, but one of my men will remain here. He'll know how to find me. That is, of course, should you succeed.
Least you could tell me where your wife is.
In my old manor, east of Martin Foy's farmstead. I'd wish you Godspeed, but, well, you understand, I'm sure. Goodbye, Geralt.
Very interesting discussions have just went down. For those of you who don't already know, we've already completed 2 of the wishes. Well, I'm already getting ahead of myself. Initially we had gotten captured by an Ofiri escort because we had killed the prince who Olgierd had turned into a toad with a curse. So when we first met Olgierd, it was a monster contract. He had told us that there's a monster in the sewers that has killed one of his cooks, and he would like us to dispose of the monster. Little did we know, this monster, this toad, was actually an Ofiri prince that Olgierd had cursed, so he had sent us there to kill him so as to finally cover up his tracks so that the Ofiri will never truly know where Olgierd went. After killing the toad, we were captured by the Ofiri, and during the escort time when we were in the boat, we had met up with another guide, a tour guide, who had been arrested by them as well for lying to them. And Gonta Dim, Master Mirror himself, appeared out of nowhere. He's the one who helped us find Yennefer in the beginning, and we made a deal with him that if we could get us off the boat, he would do anything that he requires. And his wish that he got from us was to fulfill Olgierd's wishes so that they may deal with each other once and for all.
Kendrick, you there?
Not so loud.
Ah! God, scared me after.
Not so loud, I said. Fog's not natural. Could be something in there hiding. Foglets or air nymphs, for example. Don't want to attract them. Believe me.
Foglets? Oh, sweet mother, my little, why'd I ever come here?
Kendrick fellow. Who is he?
We's partners. Sneak into derelict houses. With something valuable lying about.
So you're a thief.
Thieves steal from the living. What's the harm taking from the dead? Kendrick went to open the door. I stood watch. Suddenly heard his lamp smash. Then nothing. Quiet. Called out to him, but... What was that? One of them foglets you spoke of?
No.
Phew. That's the stone off my...
I'll see what that was and look for your partner. You...
Ain't about to wait around. I'm out of here.
So as I was saying, Master Mirror had said that since he had helped us set us free, we had to pay him back a deal for a deal. And hence, his deal was that Olgierd owes him for a previous contract that they had signed, and that we were to, by the rules of their contract, fulfill Olgierd's wishes by proxy. And that in turn would allow Gonta Dim to get what Olgierd owes him. So we're being used by both parties, we're fulfilling both wishes. And in the end, we are supposed to meet in the Temple of the Moon to discuss what exactly is to happen next. At least that's what Gonta Dim said. So this is the third wish. The first wish that Olgierd gave us was to hold on, let's see this door for a second.
Damn, locked. A busted lamp, and the ground's trampled. Somebody dragged something this way. A body?
Knowing full well that Olgierd did not want to pay back Gonta Dim, he gave us 3 wishes that he thought would be seemingly impossible because everyone else who's come to know of these has gone mad trying. So the first was to show his brother a time of his life, but the problem was Vladimir Von Everec was dead, but we managed to resurrect his ghost and let him possess us in doing so. The second wish was Maximilian Bossodi's house. Now the third wish is to get a rose that he gave to his wife when he left her many years ago, and now we're at her manor. Will she even be alive?
Scooch along, kitty. This place.
That's the real question.
That. Digging.
So now we are to fulfill the third wish, and then hopefully we'll meet on the moon to discuss what exactly has happened. One interesting piece I would like people to read upon is the story of Dr. Faust, a German story. I'll explain it as soon as this cutscene is done. I think I'll need some time with it, even though I don't really remember it too well myself.
Graves, unmarked, laid out in rows like garden beds. Hey. Hear me? Other thief. Body's mutilated. Who are you? Damn.
It seems you found the caretaker of the garden, and trust me, this fight is gonna be long and you're gonna watch me fail for quite some time, but I hope with it you'll be able to see how I adapted and how I learned to the situation, because this was my first time actually playing this. All in all, I was getting frustrated and disappointed. Well, not disappointed, but frustrated and angry in the sense that I felt extremely powerless to this beast, this caretaker. But luckily enough, I did not give up. And, well, I guess you'll see the rest. The reason why I was talking about the story of Dr. Faust, German folklore legend, is because I feel that this entirety of the Hearts of Stone DLC brings about quite a lot of interesting philosophy and realistic works that have been discussed and folklores have been born of. This, for example, the story of Dr. Faust. The reason why I'm saying so is if you were to search for it yourself, the story is very simple. Dr. Faust was a, how can I say this, he studied alchemy and physics and all the sciences of the world. He was a very intelligent scholar, a very knowledgeable man, but was very dissatisfied with his life. That to him was the main problem. What he knew, he felt was not enough, and the life he lived, he felt was not good enough for him. So what he then decided to do was to learn the powers of the arcane. He tried to learn magic, and in doing so, managed to find the one important thing that he had been dreaming about the whole time. He found a way to finally communicate with the devil himself. Now, Faust then decided, since his life was not what he wanted, he decided to make a pact with the devil. He asked the devil to give him unlimited knowledge, pretty much to know everything. And then he decided to ask the devil, just checking out what's going on in the fight. I really like the special effects. I didn't actually knew. First I knew that his weapon had a lifesteal effect, but now he's summoning the ghosts of all he's killed and is killing them, taking their life and reabsorbing them. So you can already see his full health again. When I saw this, I was like, I just want to quit. Because clearly I felt that what I had been doing was extremely wrong, and the worst way of doing it, I was like, maybe I'm doing something wrong, let me go to a forum and see what's happening, but then I stuck it out. So anyway, back to Faust. Faust decided to ask for all-knowing knowledge, unlimited knowledge, and of course pleasures and worldly pleasures and desires to be fulfilled. So he just wanted a lot of things, knowledge and pleasure. That's what he drove for. Now the devil gave him this, but of course, like Wanter Dim's contracts, it's a deal for a deal, a favor for a favor, an eye for an eye, should I say. So in turn, Faust lost his soul, and it's quite a very interesting story if you take a good look for the story, and also you can find a lot of information, stories, videos, lots of plays that were done upon the story about how Faust was, how he spent his time and what he did in the world after selling his soul to the devil. And in the end, the devil did come to collect. The devil did take his soul for this contract, and that was the end of Faust. So in the end, all his knowledge and worldly pleasures could not save him from his ultimate fate. Now, the reason why I had talked about the story of Faust is that there is actually a Polish legend similar to that of Faust. Of course, the main actor, or should I say the main person that the story follows, is not Faust, of course. It's a Polish man who too was a scholar and a very knowledgeable man, and he was an advisor to the king. So he studied in the arcane, he studied magic, he studied alchemy, he studied the sciences, both physical, chemical and biological, and he was a very intelligent scholar. Now he in turn decided to make a pact with the devil to gain the ability to use magic and not inhuman strength, but inhuman capabilities, things that people could not, definitely not be able to do. And in doing so, he grew in rank. For example, the king had been yearning to talk to his wife who had died, and he was able to actually resurrect the ghost of the king's wife due to these new powers and magic that he had got from the devil. And he had managed to give the king what he desired, and he grew in influence, he grew in popularity within the Polish region and in other regions worldwide. He had been traveling a lot, going to see different places to show his powers, but of course he did not admit that he had sold his soul to the devil. Now then, one thing he knew for a fact was that he would never actually visit Rome in Italy. God knows why, but he had known for a fact that he'll never go to Italy. And when he had made the deal with the devil was like, I shall come and collect your soul at a certain day. That was the deal, is that I'll give you all this that you desire, but I'll come collect your soul at the end of the day. And then this Polish man had told the devil that he's okay with this, but only if the devil will collect his soul in Rome. Only in Rome could the devil collect his soul. That was his deal, that was his clause, his loophole in the contract, and the devil agreed. Now, as time went on though, he thought he would be safe, and he was still in Poland advising to the king, very influential man. But one interesting night, he went to a tavern or a pub, as what you would call it nowadays, and the devil came to him and said it's time to collect. But then he was flabbergasted. He was like, we agreed that you would only collect my soul in Rome. But then the devil said that, yes, I'll collect your soul in Rome, but we never specified which Rome I would take your soul in, whether it's Rome, the actual capital of Italy, or Rome, just a place named Rome. And either way, the man was like, we are not in Rome. But the devil asked him then, what is the name of the pub we stand in, or the tavern that we stand in? And if you had translated it from Polish dialect to English, the name of the tavern was Rome, in Rome. And so the devil used that clause in their said contract and took his soul. But then, after that, as the devil was taking his soul to hell, he started praying to the Virgin Mary and started praying to Jesus and started praying to God to forgive him and try absolve him of all his sin and to try save him from the devil, because he was now scared that he had made a fateful error, thinking that making deals with the devil was such a good deal. And in doing so, the Virgin Mary intervened and supposedly loosened the devil's grip, and the devil lost grip of his soul. But his soul then supposedly fell on the moon, and it said that if you look for him, you will find him on the moon, or at least if you can see his soul, you can find it on the moon till this day. That's the story. Now people may be wondering why I was rambling for so long about something unrelated to this particular boss fight that I have to deal with. Let's look at what happened. Olgierd made a deal with Gonto Dim, Master Moon. So far he's not being too open as to what exactly he wished for when it came to Gonto Dim. But one thing we can understand is that he was short on money and potentially wished for wealth. That one's guaranteed. We can safely assume that he wished for large amounts of wealth so that he could buy back his wife and his prestige among the people. 2. We know that he cannot die, so if he cannot die, then that means he must have asked for either immortality or something similar to it, either immortality or an extremely long life, so that I guess he may continue his work here on Earth, conquering and amassing his wealth and influence amongst all the cities and all the world in general. And potentially another thing that he could have asked for is strength. If you look at Olgierd, he's a very skilled fighter. He cannot die, and he seems to be extremely strong. Or maybe he's just a good human, well, not a good human, but he's just a strong fighter, but he's still human. But anyway, those are the two things we know he made a deal for. Everlasting life and unfinishable wealth. Infinite wealth. Now, Gonto Dim's final words to the contract was that if someone were to fulfill the 3 clauses that Olgierd put, he then would be able to meet Gonto Dim and they may discuss. But the location was that they would meet on the moon, very similar to the Polish law. So would that make Gonto Dim the devil? He controls time.
Philosophers do still debate what it means to be alive, exactly.
And is very omnipotent, omniscient, should I say.
Who are you two?
Clearly not animals. Think of us as friends of the house.
What's with the show? The pretense that you're animals. You couldn't have warned me?
No. We're obliged to maintain discretion.
So why talk to me at all?
Why? Well, we get so few chances to talk to humans, and we're curious to know what brought you.
Gonna need a better answer than that.
Later.
What about this thing? What can you tell me? Friend of yours?
We called him the Caretaker.
Doesn't look like any creature I've ever seen. Where'd it come from?
From very far away. He was summoned to guard Lady Iris and the home. He tended the garden, took care of unwanted guests.
Very far away? Meaning where exactly?
The name of this place would mean naught to you.
You know the master of the house, the owner?
Olgierd Von Everec? Yes. We know him, but he left, and his wife became mistress of the house.
Great. So, Lady Von Everec home? Could you announce me, say she has a guest?
Why do you wish to see her?
I'm here to get the violet rose Olgierd gave Iris just before he left.
Iris is inside, in the bedchamber upstairs. Take his key. It opens the rear door.
Guess I'll make my own introductions. So, how should I address you?
As you did now. We'd rather keep our names to ourselves.
Anyway, as I was saying, that's the story of Dr. Faust, and there are many different versions of it that you may look for, you can read and see. It's a very interesting thing. And I believe I believe the Polish version, or should I say the Polish story that's of similar connotations, is one of a man called Pan Twardowski. You may search for that as well. I'm not sure if I pronounced it correctly, but I'm sure generally that's how his name is. And like I was saying, when he was being carried off to hell due to divine intervention and his pleading, the devil loosened his grip and he fell on the moon. And hopefully, since we will hopefully see the ending of this DLC, since I've already played all of it, you shall see the final location, and in the end you may get a deeper understanding of who Gonta Dim really is. But one thing you have to understand,
buried by the Caretaker.
One thing you have to understand is that
Seeds and bulbs. Someone's still planting flowers.
just like in the case of Dr. Faust, when he made a deal with the devil, he then dealt with the representative of the devil, which was Mr. Stopheles. And in the case though, for the people who may, if we draw to the conclusion that Gonta Dim may actually be the devil, he may actually be the devil's representative as well, may not be the actual Lucifer, but we'll never truly know. Let's continue on with this, and let me stop foreshadowing on things that are still yet to come. But anyway, and now we're in the house of Iris Von Everec. It is wrecked, and it seems that they are ghosts, if not wraiths.
What the hell? Gotta be careful. What the hell was that?
Doesn't actually seem that there are any living people left in this manor. But of course, the 3 wishes that Olgierd gave us were supposed to be impossible. Supposed to drive us insane. But being as knowledgeable as the Witcher, hopefully we should be able to figure something out and see what exactly to do. Had a lot of things, but it seems that the saddle that we got wasn't good enough, and I was very overburdened, so deciding on what exactly to do. Wasn't willing to walk the whole way though. I don't know why I was so confused, so I decided to drink the potion to increase our equipment load by, I believe, 20 or 10, not too sure. Ooh.
Be gone.
But the problem with that is, since we didn't put in any points in alchemy, our toxicity threshold is actually very low, as you can see. And the wraith has shown its presence, and if you can see that these are actually portraits of Iris Von Everec herself, so
interesting.
Clearly her wraith haunts this manor. How exactly we're supposed to find a blooming rose in this is completely out of the question, but let's explore and see what exactly there is. Oh, and if you notice, we managed to get the Caretaker's weapon, the shovel. It deals 10% lifesteal on every hit, so we can actually heal off opponents. And we've encountered the wraith. Remember when I was talking about how the Caretaker fight was extremely difficult and I almost gave up? Well, in this particular case though, in this particular case, I did give up. This fight to me, well, I guess I have to consider that I was playing late at night, I think way after midnight, but I was trying. I usually have a method of doing things. I get into a boss fight. Maybe in this particular case, for example, I do not know what's going on in the boss fight. I try see what the boss is doing. In this particular case, every time she summons a portrait of herself, it heals her, so you're supposed to destroy the portrait before she gets back to full health again, making your fight tedious. So destroy the portraits. And one thing I noticed about her is that her movement speed is very high. Her lunging attack has great distance, so it's extremely difficult to get away from her, which I felt was a bit overpowered and, to be honest with you, unfair. And she herself doesn't seem to follow. That's the thing. This game claims that there's a stamina system, for example. Everyone has a set amount of stamina and you can't just swing willy-nilly forever without being interrupted. But it seems like she's able to do so. She's able to lunge and attack repeatedly with no interval of stopping. So I was thinking to myself, what is this? And she's doing ridiculous amounts of damage to me. I'm at the required level to do the mission. I believe I should be level 36, 35, 36. And the fight just seems unfair. You know what I mean? And anyone who knows me will know that when I look for difficulty in games, I'll give you 2 examples and hopefully you'll be able to read my take on these situations. Let's just say I designed a game, and in this particular game maybe there is a fight against a giant dog, for example, like the fight against Sif in Dark Souls 1 as a prime example. Let's just say Sif is a giant dog and you're supposed to fight him. Let's just say he has one attack which does 2 swipes in front of him. So if you're standing behind him, it won't hit you, right? So that's the safe spot where you can go behind and hopefully be safe and deal some damage. And then maybe let's just say Sif also has one more move where he lunges forward at you if you're at distance, right, to cover the gap and probably try pressure you with an attack, put you on block so that you can do the double swipe. That's fairly fine. Now, if let's just say we go to New Game Plus or we try increase the difficulty, we can then say that, okay, at New Game Plus 1, instead of just being lazy, and this is being directed to The Witcher and many games that do this, most games that are lazy, or in the case of The Witcher, they say that how can we make it harder? Let's just make the enemy do ridiculous damage. So for example, if the enemy could kill you in 10 hits, now the enemy kills you in 5 hits. There's no true intelligence, there's no artificial intelligence to the fight. The enemy does not change, it just does more damage. It's dumb. Because in the particular case of players who can figure out the patterns, then they'll never get hit. Whether it's New Game Plus 1 or New Game Plus 7, they'll never get hit. So technically the game actually isn't harder because they still just dodge every attack. And for someone like me who doesn't know the patterns yet, will get hit 5 times and instantly die, but then it took only 10 hits last time, so it's like, it's just pure laziness to me. How I would like to do it is the example I was about to give of Sif, the wolf. If Sif in normal game only has an attack that hits in front of him and a lunging attack that he can use to close the gap between him and the enemy, then what I'll do is that on a higher difficulty, so for example if that's New Game or New Game Plus, Sif now has an attack where he stomps his back hind feet. Now in the first part of the game you were able to just stand behind him and then hit him because you can only hit in front of him and lunge in front of him. Now he can hit in front of him, lunge in front of him, and if he notices that he's taking damage from the back, he can then stomp his hind legs to hit whatever's behind him. So now there's a new element to the fight which has made it harder without just giving Sif ridiculous damage on the 2 attacks that he can do. Now then people may say, how will you make it harder after that? So for example, now he has an attack that hits in front of him. He has a lunging attack to gain ground in front of him. Now he can hit what's immediately behind him. maybe now on New Game Plus 2, he can have a jumping attack that hits in the AoE all around him. So now you can't stick by his sides, you can't stick to the front, and you can't stick behind him at all times. You now have to be aware of the fact that once you deal damage, he's able to hit you if you're near him with this jumping attack. And then as more New Game Pluses increase, you can then give him more tools and more abilities to be able to defeat the player. But then there'll be people who may argue that as each new game iteration increases, your damage as a player increases as you level up, which is true. My method of just giving Seath new moves as time goes on to make the fight fresh each time you fight him would be good only in situations whereby your damage and health do not increase. Because there has to be a balance in damage, health and defenses for both the boss and the player. Fair and fine. Then you may give Seath more life. Maybe you can give him more damage, but not a ridiculous amount of damage. There needs to be balance in your games. But we've managed to defeat the Rake anyway, while I was rambling and rambling and rambling. But I hope you understand what I was talking about.
What the hell was that? Bed chamber. Iris was supposed to be here.
And we found Iris's dead corpse.
Gotta be her. Damn it.
You wish to see her? Here she is.
A man should frame his wishes carefully. It forestalls disappointment.
This some sick joke. Why didn't you tell me she was dead right away?
You didn't ask.
And why hasn't anyone buried her?
We can't. As for the Caretaker, the one you cut down, while still alive, she ordered him to stay away from her for all time.
How did she die? Don't see any wounds, evidence of a fight.
Her heart burst.
Meaning what? A heart attack?
No, it simply burst.
Find that hard to believe.
Yet that's precisely what happened. One day Iris locked the front door, lay down here and died. From grief, from loneliness.
The deeper I get into this, the more I gotta wonder. Why are you even helping me?
We were summoned to serve Iris Von Everec. Our mistress died, but that did not free us from her service.
Got it. You want to leave this place, leave these bodies.
Surprised?
No, not at all. Her ghost's restless, angry, attacks intruders. Know why?
Lady Von Everec has endured much hardship. She's unaccustomed to guests and not fond of strange folk.
She can't hear us.
Seems I gotta speak to Iris's ghost.
It's no easy task to contact the mistress. Rage and bitterness fill her.
Got my ways. To make contact with Iris, I gotta bury her body. But that Caretaker's macabre little cemetery won't do. Too much blood, too much fear.
She spent much time in the front garden.
Maybe there.
Wait. Take this key. It opens the front door.
Good dog.
Now I have to find a good spot to bury Iris in.
She liked to sit here, but this is not a good place for a grave.
Too close to the
I have
house.
to find a good place that she
I'll
loved
keep
to see,
searching.
and apparently that she loved spending time in the front garden.
Iris Von Everec adored flowers.
But she would never want to destroy them.
All right, I'll dig the grave somewhere else.
Hopefully we can find a place.
This place seems suitable.
Yes, she loved to paint.
Did Iris Von Everec have any last requests? Say how she wanted her remains disposed of?
She feared death, worried none would see to her burial or say a kind word in parting.
Guess I'll be the one to do that.
Well, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next episode of The Witcher 3 Hearts of Stone DLC. I hope you enjoyed our little discussion, and thank you for your time for watching.
I didn't know Iris Von Everec, but the paintings here show amply that she and Olgierd were a loving couple. Iris must have been happy, once. At times, fate muddles our path, and life turns toilsome, hard to bear. Yet all deserve respite and peace in death. I can't be sure this brush was yours. But if you liked pretty trinkets, you might not mind this one lying at your side. You two, got any last words for your mistress?
We don't partake in human rituals.
Trusting that what you've done is in keeping with your customs.
The remains are interred. Let's summon her. Tormented spirit, I've laid yourself. Forgive me for tearing you from your realm. I need to ask you. Should I follow you? All right.